Hi everyone. Relax. You're good, just like this. If there's any way that you can shift, move, breathe, to relax even more, then I invite you to do that. I love you so much. And I'm so appreciative of your care. More, I'm appreciative of your willingness to act for that care. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't worry, I'm okay. And I'll speak more to that video a little bit later in this one. Don't worry, I'm okay. And I mean what I say. I've been a little low on resources the last few days, and I meant to give this video a little sooner, especially in response to all the fear. And this is the soonest I could make it, with your help. Today I'm going to read a little bit, because people don't do that much anymore. Who's got the time? So I'm going to give you some of my time and read a couple pages, because we're all saying the same things. Listen. On the despisers of the body. I want to speak to the despisers of the body. I would not have them learn and teach differently, but merely say farewell to their own bodies, and thus become silent. Body am I, and soul, thus speaks the child. And why should one not speak like children? But the awakened and knowing say, body am I entirely, and nothing else, and soul is only a word for something about the body. The body is a great reason, a plurality with one sense, a war and a peace, a herd and a shepherd. An instrument of your body is also your little reason, my brother, which you call spirit, a little instrument and toy of your great reason. I, you say, and are so proud of the word. But greater is that in which you do not wish to have faith. Your body and its great reason, that does not say I, but does I. What the sense feels, what the spirit knows, never has its end in itself. But sense and spirit would persuade you that they are the end of all things. That is how vain they are. Instruments and toys are sense and spirit. Behind them still lies the self. The self also seeks with the eyes of the senses. It also listens with the ears of the spirit. Always the self listens and seeks. It compares, overpowers, conquers, destroys. It controls. And it is in control of the ego too. Behind your thoughts and feelings, my brother, there stands a mighty ruler, an unknown sage, whose name is self. In your body he dwells. He is your body. There is more reason in your body than in your best wisdom. And who knows why your body needs precisely your best wisdom? Your self laughs at your ego and at its bold leaps. What are these leaps and flights of thought to me? It says to itself. A detour to my end. I am the leading strings of the ego and the prompter of its concepts. The self says to the ego, feel pain here. Then the ego suffers and thinks how it might suffer no more. And that is why it is made to think. The self says to the ego, feel pleasure here. Then the ego is pleased and thinks how it might often be pleased again. And that is why it is made to think. I want to speak to the despisers of the body. It is their respect that begets their contempt. What is it that created respect and contempt and worth and will? The creative self created respect and contempt. It created pleasure and pain. The creative body created the spirit as a hand for its will. Even in your folly and contempt, you despisers of the body, you serve yourself. I say unto you, yourself itself wants to die and turns away from life. It is no longer capable of what it would do above all else, to create beyond itself. That is what it would do above all else. That is its fervent wish. But now it is too late for it to do this. So yourself wants to go under, O despisers of the body. Yourself wants to go under, and that is why you have become despisers of the body. For you are no longer able to create beyond yourselves. And that is why you are angry with life, angry with the earth. An unconscious envy speaks out of the squint-eyed glance of your contempt. I shall not go your way, O despisers of the body. You are no bridge to the overman. Thus spoke Zarathustra. Patience is a virtue. If patience you make a virtue, whatever you're waiting for is already here, if you can remain here to receive it. Be patient. It's already within you. On enjoying and suffering the passions. My brother, if you have a virtue, and she is your virtue, then you have her in common with nobody. To be sure, you want to call her by name and pet her. You want to pull her ear and have fun with her. And behold, now you have her name in common with the people, and have become one of the people, and heard with your virtue. You would do better to say, inexpressible and nameless is that which gives my soul agony and sweetness, and is even the hunger of my entrails. May your virtue be too exalted for the familiarity of names. And if you must speak of her, then do not be ashamed to stammer of her. Then speak and stammer. This is my good. This I love. It pleases me wholly. Thus alone do I want the good. I do not want it as divine law. I do not want it as human statute and need. It shall not be a signpost for me to over-earths and paradises. It is an earthly virtue that I love. There is little prudence in it, and at least of all the reason of all men. But this bird built its nest with me. Therefore I love and caress it. Now it dwells with me, sitting on its golden eggs. Thus you shall stammer and praise your virtue. Once you suffered passions and called them evil, but now you have only your virtues left. They grew out of your passions. You commended your highest goal to the heart of these passions. Then they became your virtues, and passions you enjoyed. And whether you came from the tribe of the choleric, or the voluptuous, or the fanatic, or the vengeful, in the end, all your passions became virtues, and all your devils, angels. Once you had wild dogs in your cellar, but in the end they turned into birds and lovely singers. Out of your poisons you brewed your balsam. You milked your cow, melancholy. Now you drink the sweet milk of her udder. And nothing evil grows out of you henceforth, unless it be the evil that grows out of the fight among your virtues. My brother, if you are fortunate, you have only one virtue and no more. Then you will pass over the bridges more easily. It is a distinction to have many virtues, but a hard lot. And many have gone into the desert and taken their lives because they had wearied of being the battle and battlefield of virtues. My brother, are war and battle evil? But this evil is necessary. Necessary are the envy and mistrust and calumny among your virtues. Behold, how each of your virtues covets what is highest. Each wants your whole spirit that it might become her herald. Each wants your whole strength in wrath, hatred, and love. Each virtue is jealous of the others, and jealousy is a terrible thing. Virtues, too, can perish of jealousy. Surrounded by the flame of jealousy, one will in the end, like the scorpion, turn one's poisonous sting against oneself. Alas, my brother, have you never yet seen a virtue deny and stab herself? Man is something that must be overcome, and therefore you shall love your virtues, for you will perish of them. Thus spoke Zarathustra. Even myself, right now, feel the scratching, itching of too much, of rushing forward, of being done with this so we can move on to that. And yet, this is not over. This is not yet done. And to receive what's next, we must prepare. And we prepare by finishing what we start in this moment. Listen. On the pale criminal. You do not want to kill, O judges and sacrificers, until the animal has nodded. Behold, the pale criminal has nodded. Out of his eyes speaks the greatest contempt. My ego is something that shall be overcome. My ego is to me the great contempt of man. That is what his eyes say. That he judged himself. That was his highest moment. Do not let the sublime return to his baseness. There is no redemption for one who suffers so of himself, except a quick death. Your killing, O judges, shall be pity and not revenge, and as you kill, be sure that you yourselves justify life. It is not enough to make your peace with the man you kill. Your sadness shall be love of the overman. Thus you shall justify your living on. Enemy you shall say, but not villain. Sick you shall say, but not scoundrel. Fool you shall say, but not sinner. And you, Red Judge, if you were to tell out loud all that you have already done in thought, everyone would cry, away with this filth and this poisonous worm. But thought is one thing, the deed is another, and the image of the deed still another. The wheel of causality does not roll between them. An image made this pale man pale. He was equal to his deed when he did it, but he could not bear its image after it was done. Now he always saw himself as the doer of one deed. Madness, I call this. The exception now became the essence for him. A chalk streak stops a hen. The stroke that he himself struck stopped his poor reason. Madness after the deed, I call this. Listen, O judges, there is yet another madness, and that comes before the deed. Alas, you have not yet crept deep enough into this soul. Thus speaks the Red Judge, why did this criminal murder? He wanted to rob, but I say unto you, his soul wanted blood, not robbery. He thirsted after the bliss of the knife. His poor reason, however, did not comprehend this madness and persuaded him, what matters blood? It asked, don't you want at least to commit a robbery with it? To take revenge? And he listens to his poor reason. Its speech lay upon him like lead. So he robbed when he murdered. He did not want to be ashamed of his madness. And now the lead of his guilt lies upon him, and again his poor reason is so stiff, so paralyzed, so heavy. If only he could shake his head, then his burden would roll off. But who could shake this head? What is this man? A heap of diseases which through his spirit reach out into the world. There they want to catch their prey. What is this man? A ball of wild snakes, which rarely enjoy rest from each other, so they go forth singly and seek prey in the world. Behold this poor body, what it suffered and coveted, this poor soul interpreted for itself. It interpreted as murderous lust and greed for the bliss of the knife. Those who become sick today are overcome by that evil which is evil today. They want to hurt with that which hurts them. But there have been other ages and another evil and good. Once doubt was evil, and the will to self. Then the sick became heretics or witches. As heretics or witches, they suffered and wanted to inflict suffering. But your ears do not want to accept this. It harms your good people. You say to me, but what matter your good people to me? Much about your good people nauseates me, and verily it is not their evil. Indeed, I wish they had a madness of which they might perish like this pale criminal. Verily, I wish their madness were called truth, or loyalty, or justice, but they have their virtue in order to live long and in wretched contentment. I am a railing by the torrent. Let those who can grasp me. Your crutch, however, I am not. Thus spoke Zarathustra. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard I try, I can't control the meaning interpreted by my expressions. Verily, we can only make sense by using the things that we already know. So when a thing does not make sense, and it includes things that we do not know, we have a choice to use only the things we know and entrap the whole unknowing. Using lies and untruths to excuse what doesn't make sense. This happens all the time and through history. Maybe a good example is ESP. Like, statistically, the existence, action of knowledge or awareness at a distance, telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, all these things have been like proven in the lab. The mechanisms are less understood, although I understand them a little bit, or a lot. And yet, because it doesn't really fit into what's commonly known, we use the things that we know, like it can't exist because there's nothing that connects us that we can see. It's coincidence. It's projection. It's hearing what you want to hear and seeing what you want to see. We are capable of making any excuse to justify our reason, to justify our sanity, to justify our beliefs, whatever they are, and however they serve us. A lot of people saw that little video of mine. I think a lot of people that saw that little video of mine also didn't see the bigger one. Because the responses that I got with more understanding came from those that had watched the video. And those that responded with so much love and urgency and care, but with the most misunderstanding. Didn't know what was happening. So let me explain. Also, if you skipped the reading to get here, you'll understand not or less, because what I'm about to say isn't the point, and I just want to let you know, so at least you can know that. What you saw yesterday more or less happens every day. At some point during the day, because my healing is a process, there comes a time when I don't really have the energy to move. And I can say that, and you can be like, not being able to move. I understand that. That must really suck. Wow. But you don't really know. And what's worse is not really knowing, but thinking you know. Because then you can't really know the truth. And that happens all the time. So while I lay there, and I knew I had a commitment that I knew I had to get up for, and it was going to be challenging because I had so little resources. I was like, okay, this is a good opportunity to show people a little bit what it's like. It took a long time for me to get my phone from the one side of me to the other. And after I finished the video, I don't think I moved. I know I didn't move from that spot for about half an hour. But there was no distress. And I can understand how that can be misinterpreted. Especially after the first couple reach outs. One especially was super kind. He reached out to me. He worked with my limitations. He persisted until he was satisfied of his love for me and his care for me. And it was so beautiful. But it also made me realize, okay, I have a responsibility. I don't want this to be so grossly misinterpreted. So it was hard. But I wrote a comment. I was like, don't worry, I'm okay. And that was not really believed. And I guess I get that. I used to say things to myself that were untrue. You know, to protect others or whatnot. I used to tell others things that were untrue. In that way, you know, like, don't worry, I'm okay. Actually, you know what? That feels more like a lie than anything. I'm not really good at that. But I understand, based on my experience with others, that is a common thing to tell someone that you're not okay, that you're okay when you're not okay. So I can imagine, or I can understand from my vantage, how my saying "don't worry, I'm okay" was really like interpreted as what, leave me alone, or I'm broken and can't be fixed, or I really mean help me. There was a time, and not so long ago, that I didn't ask for help. I didn't know that I could. And when I did, it was often in the wrong places. But eventually I learned. I learned how to ask for help. So I appreciate all the reaching out and being like, you know, you should get help. Or like, help is there for you, you know? I know. I got it. I asked for it. And I'm getting the help that I need. At least in the ways that I was suggested or encouraged to get help. Believe me. So what you saw in the video wasn't sadness. It wasn't frustration even. I could have just started the video and lay there. But then what would you have seen? I'm like, this is what it's like for me to not move. So I tried to like move. I tried to talk, tried to show you, you know? And I tried to say it too, but it's hard. Like, when I'm in that place and I'm not embracing it, like, how do I get the energy? Well, like, how does my body create the neurotransmitter that I'm kind of running low on at the time to get myself to put things together? Whether it's actions, moving my body, or thoughts and words. The short answer is emotions. Or stress, which I tried to say in the video. So, what you saw as tears and quivers was me creating energy. I have a couple of the sweetest nephews in the world, and one's just like 15 months or something. I love him so much. He will like climb through things really awkwardly to try to get something that he wants on the other side, when really like there's a clear path like around or whatever. And when he's tired and he's trying, you know, he'll like start to cry. He'll like pull, push, and then stop. And be like, and then he'll come up and he'll try. I was like, I love it. That's what I'm talking about. You know, he's not sad. He's just like, I care. I'm gonna get it. So that's what you saw. It looks a lot like depression. I know, because I've been depressed. Not for very long. But I've been deeply depressed. And that's maybe what's has been such a learning opportunity for me. Because when you're depressed, you don't want to do anything. And when I don't have sufficient resources, that dopaminergic cycle is the same cycle of doing what you want. So when it feels like I can't move, it also feels like I don't want to. And in my journey, I've tested it. I've tested it the most. Tested it with everything. I've tested it with life. Maybe I don't want to live. And what I discovered is that I do. And what feels like not wanting was actually just a feeling in my body. And the meaning I was attaching to it, which was accurate to an extent, was also inaccurate. So, I mean, it's not awesome, but I can usually feel when my resources are getting low. And so I make my way to like my bed or couch or whatever, usually my bed. And I throw in my headphones and I meditate or nap. They look a lot alike. But I don't fight it. Because it's a process. And what you're seeing now is so much better than it was. And I'm getting better. It just takes, like, I gotta give it time. When I'm like that, I can move. I can move like the way I move in yoga. If I take all my focus and all my will, I can move slowly but certainly. It's just hard. You know? Could you imagine like your whole day you're moving like you move in yoga class? With that much focus, intent. It's tiring. But that's why I practice. So it gets less tiring. And it becomes just more a part of what I do. And that's why I practice. Because even when my resources are low, when I get on the mat, there are no expectations. I don't have to do anything. So I can focus on what I want to do. And that is to move and breathe and dance and smile or feel whatever I feel. And then Shavasana happen. That same day that I posted that video, I eventually made it to practice, and it was the first day that I'd gone out in public on a low resource day, on a day where it was a little hard to like stand, like my body gets really heavy, on a day where it's hard to talk, or I stammer. Oh, but it felt amazing. It felt amazing to be unashamed of myself. It felt amazing to overcome my sense of lack. It felt amazing to be honest and to not hide, but stand in my truth. And let that be interpreted by whoever, however they can. I'm going to close today with a couple aphorisms, or like neat facts. One neat fact, okay. When a part of the city is in disrepair versus another part that isn't, people are curious about that. So they figure out like why. What can be like a catalyzing factor, and simply. It was a broken window. You know, like just a single broken window was like a kind of tipping point to disrepair. When the broken window lingers, then what does it matter if I litter? What does it matter if I break another window? You know? And then it just gets worse. I'm going to connect that with another kind of little story that I'm sure you know. Not a story, it's a neat fact. If you take a frog, because you know, frogs are handy, and try to put it in a pot of boiling water, it'll like hit the water and then like scoot out super fast. But if you put a frog in a pot of cold water and then boil the water, it's gonna chill there until it's too hot and then it's too late, and you get boiled frog soup. Yummy. So why I say that, or those, is I just see so many broken windows. And I start with the world. And where that led me was to the broken windows of myself. And they can be fixed. And then when there's no broken windows, it's like that first act of littering, like, you don't want to be the one that messes up the clean place, you know? It's like, it's already messy, fuck it. But it's already clean. Well, okay, maybe I'm going to take this piece of garbage and put it where garbage goes. So fix your windows. Or right now, just make yourself aware of one broken window in your life. One broken window that you haven't fixed. And then work on fixing it. If you don't know how to fix it, right? Say you're not a window repair person. Cover it with a board, you know? Or a plastic bag or something. Just do something to show that you care. Because that act of expressing care begets more expressions of care. You know, like, you put up the board, and then maybe a window repair person walks by and is like, oh, like, maybe there's an opportunity for me here. Whereas maybe they walk by a broken window and they're like, I don't want to chill in this part of town. And then to the other kind of the boiled frog soup. Wake up! Because things are getting warmer, and not in a good way. Stop being the frog. I don't even have to tell you more if you just look around at your life and at the world. And instead of looking for the things that are going wrong, so you can justify sitting in the pot, like, look around. Things are getting good. People are coming together. The world is changing for the better because we're acting. Look around. Otherwise, shit's gonna get better for everyone except for you. The last analogy, aphorism, story. This one's actually the only story. Those other ones are like just fun facts, but this is the only story, and maybe you're familiar with it, but pretend you're not, so that you can learn something about yourself from it. Three soldiers coming back from war to their home village. They're a little wounded, but in merry spirits, because they're super hungry, and they know that once they make it to the village, that they're gonna find something to eat. But when they get to the village, everyone's doors closed and locked. The window shutters shuttered. And to be fair, it's because, other soldiers have come through and just taken, right? Just taken. And the villagers are hungry as well. So they hold tightly to what they have. And they're afraid of what looks familiar. Familiarly, bad. But the soldiers are clever, and their hearts are filled with love. So, with a wicked kind of love, they find this basin, this pot, make a fire, fill it with water, and each take a big stone and place the stone in the pot. And they sit around the pot and they're having fun. Because there's nothing else to do, and people just love to watch other people. One of the villagers kind of notices this and is curious. A bunch of villagers saw this, but this one's curious, and then curious enough to act. So this curious actor comes to the soldiers and what are you doing? And one of them, the speaker, whoever, writes the story, make it up, turns to the villager and is the curious actor, we're making stone soup. And the curious actor is hungry, and they've never heard of stone soup before, so they're stone soup? Is that good? Yeah. I mean, it could be better if we had some carrots or something like that to add to it. Villager's I got carrots. Okay, I'm back. Boom, go get some carrots. Comes back, adds it to the pot, and then just kind of chills, and then just starts having fun with the soldiers. Another villager, who's curious and maybe feels a little safer because someone else that they know has kind of gone first. He's okay, well, I don't really know still what's going on, but I'm curious, and I feel a little safer. So they go to the camp, and what's up? What is this? Stone soup. Stone soup? Is that good? Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome, but it could still be better if we had I don't know, potatoes or something like that, just to give it some weight. That's a joke because stones are heavy. And villager's I got taters. And they go back to the house, grab some potatoes, come back, boom, add it to the soup. So eventually, the whole village kind of comes around, and there's a lot of merriment as each of them adds a little bit of what they've got to the stone soup, until eventually it's ready. And when it's ready, the soldiers remove the stones. They set them aside. And everyone eats from the soup that they all made together. Now there's a bunch of morals there. And the ones you've gleaned, right, are appropriate. What I like is that the soldiers had an intuition. They had an intuition about the pain that the other villagers were experiencing, and that the pain was the same as theirs. And they had an intuition that of a solution. A solution, though, that if they had just said it, it's like gone door to door. Hey guys, we're gonna make a soup with a little bit of everything. Do you want to contribute? Wouldn't have worked. Why not? People don't trust each other. People love to put themselves in other people's shoes while thinking the worst of themselves. So they made it fun. What I like is that the soldiers took all they had, which was their good hearts and their strength. And started the soup with that. The stones. What I like is that in the end, when the soldiers removed the stones, nobody was like, hey, wait a second, we're not going to eat the stones? And this is really stone soup? Did you trick me? No, man, fucking the villagers forgot because they were getting fed. And the whole thing was kind of fun because it was together, What I like is that it was so fucking voluntary. They didn't go door to door, be like, I got this idea. It'd be good for all of us. Here's the reasons. Let's do it. Or just do it. It's like everyone volunteered themselves. And that's why it was merry. It just felt good. Because when you overcome your fear, you're like in your own bravery. You're closer to your own truth. You're doing what you want to do and not being stopped by yourself. It fucking feels great. And I really like that about that story. So as a recap, I'm doing really good. Thank you so much for caring. I love you for caring so much. It's hard for me to get to all the messages and comments. It's literally challenging. Because I'm not I'm not teaching right now. My finances, like, are, you might not call them finances. But I'm not just sitting on my thumbs. Every day I work. I'm low on resources because I'm using my resources. And I'm making stone soup. And a little bit, all I got are these stones. But I got stones. And I think that if I keep puttering along, plodding, boom, 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 I'm not stopping, I'm gonna be okay. Like, I think my plan is about 9-12 months. You know. But sooner, probably, if I had some more veggies. Maybe a little goat. Or chicken. Some pasta. Oh. So believe me when I say I got my shit together. And the only help that I want, the only help that I need, is to not be alone. And it's okay if I am. What do I mean by alone? Because I'm so clearly not alone. Like, I love all of you so much. I was so nervous and anxious to post my first video. And that night, as I was driving home, a person was kind of walking along stopped cars with a sign and a squeegee. And we made eye contact well before he got to me, and my gut reaction wasn't like, ew, go away, but more like, it was like, hey, like, I don't want to be indebted to someone, right? And if he'd done what he was going to do with an expectation of whatever, like, I just want to prevent that. If he came out to my car, he's like, offered, okay, like, do this. You saw my car. It's Philly. I haven't got a car wash in a long time. Not a priority. Fucking rain, right? Nature's car wash. And he said something. He said, sometimes you just got, like, a guy just needs to let another guy help him out. Or, brother just needs to let someone do something for them. I was like, fuck yeah. Yeah, man. It's hard, yes. Yes, yes, yes. And it was so good. And then he came kind of to the window and he showed me his sign, and it wasn't like I'm this or I'm that, like I'm feed me or what, this is my circumstances. It was like, we are like the flame or the spark that ignites the flame of creation. what? Sick. And then he turns it around, and like, there's a little bit more writing, but at the bottom, it says, I am the mud. You know? And so we were talking, this was all just happening for a few minutes. And he's like, we are the flame, we are the spark. And as I looked into him, into his eyes, he had beautiful eyes. I'm like, you fucking take care. You are so special, thank you. It's like, right back at you, brother. And I looked at him like, we are the mud. It's like, we're the mud. Why I posted that video is for all the people that can't post a video of what's hard for them. The people that are on my friends list now that can't do that. I posted that video, I'm posting all these videos for that beautiful being that cleaned my filthy windshield for me, who doesn't have 1,000 lovely human beings on their Facebook, like, and doesn't have a computer to express what they're going through. Right? Like, I know, based on feedback, what you would think maybe of what I would do with the GoFundMe. But if you will, instead, just believe the words out of my mouth. And when it doesn't make sense and it's hard to understand, try not to put it into a box that demeans us or makes us worse as people. Instead of looking at your circumstances and finding the worst case scenario and then making your choice based on that, it's the easiest. Like, what is the best possible scenario? And if that best possible scenario is worth it, even if it's hard, like, go for your best life. Go for your best belief in other people. Go for your best in yourself. Because you're worth it. You're good enough. You are worthy of love. And that's a topic for another talk. Which I think that I'm going to try and keep doing. But to be honest, this isn't my stone soup. And I have to give time to what I'm building. Right? Like, communicating little pithy wisdoms and truths that we all share is valuable. Right? Teaching a yoga class is valuable. Opening up to each other is valuable. But what I'm building is a means to make our lives better. And it's not like, woo, crazy. It has to do with information technology. It has to do with the shifting and the shifting of global economics and the revolutionary changes that are happening therein. It has to do with how we connect with each other. And I've been building this my whole life. And making these videos takes away time from that. Not having like the personal resources, but also the external resources gets in the way of that. Like, if I'm a soldier and I'm taking on hunger and unrest and unease for my village, we live in a world that doesn't want to enlist me. Not the powers that be. In our world, we only go to war for money. So if you want to help me, join me in turning nothing into love. And when you don't know how, make it up or believe me. Because life isn't about what you get, it's about what you give. Live to give love. Thank you so much for your time. I'm so grateful. When I teach a yoga class to 50 people, I take my 60 minutes becomes 300. And I love that. I haven't checked, but a few days after I posted that my first video, my 60 minutes had turned into 3,500. And that's a kind of stone soup, yo. Right? Turning something into so much more. And that's the monument that I'm building with my life. It's the monument that I'm building with ours. Thank you for loving me. I love you so much. As much as you can know, I love you. I love you. And I really love myself. Which is why I'm doing all this. We're worth it. Thank you for listening. The light that I'm made of, I recognize and see as the same light that you're made of. And if you're me, and you're so wonderful, amazing, and beautiful, then I'm honored to be like you. I'm honored to be you. And I bow to that light. That's what it means when we say namaste. Paraphrased. And when we say it to everyone that's listening and to ourselves. And if you say it back, you're saying it to me and everyone and yourself. Wake up! The water's boiling. Get the fuck out. Stop being so ratchet. Okay. I love you. Together. We are the mud. Namaste.